Queer RelationTips, an IAM Clinic podcast devoted to helping you, the LGBTQ plus community, create the love lives and relationships you crave.
In today's episode, I have a great conversation with Tim Leach, one of our financial coaches. After spending 10 years in the financial planning world, Tim brings his knowledge to queer relationships to share his insights on the freedom of budgeting, which might sound perplexing, I know. His inspiring perspective creates the understanding that taking care of your money is a great way of taking care of yourself and a great way to unleash your authenticity, believe it or not. If you want to get your financial sitch in order, today's episode is for you. Let's take a listen. Tell us a little bit about your professional background in finances.
Yeah, I was a financial advisor for 5 years, helping people make plans and do some financial coaching and implementing things, which was great to learn a lot about investing, protecting, tax planning, those type of things. So I did that for 5 years, and then in the last 5 years I've been on the operations side of finance, behind the scenes, helping people open accounts, make trades, those type of things for a big financial company. Both of those were big financial companies.
Yeah, awesome.
I loved really helping people understand what they're doing and where they're going, and getting on a plan was really fun for me, and I really enjoyed it. The sales part was not my favorite, but I really enjoyed having people have that peace of mind, understanding where they can go and feeling like they've got a plan moving forward. And then, I've been in finance over the last 10 years, and it's been great to see people learn and grow and understand, take a complex thing and make it a lot more simple for people to take some action steps on.
It sounds like quite the rewarding position, because I'm thinking about like having a financial plan and like financial comfort. We use this word, kind of financial freedom, but that seems like such a really powerful kind of rewarding position to play in someone's life.
Yeah, to see people, when it clicks for somebody, I'm sure you see this in therapy all the time, when you help people understand a bigger issue and see, wow, I can do this differently, or I can think about things a different way, and it really helps their lives. It feels very rewarding to you. And the same thing with finances, when people can learn, they don't have to bury their head in the sand about something, that it is actually attainable to reach the goals they want, or what a Roth IRA might be, or what interest and return rates are. See them kind of take a deep breath and feel like they can actually make some gains it's a really powerful thing, and it brings me a lot of joy to be able to do that for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've never thought of working in the finance industry, but I can imagine that. I agree with you. Watching people's lives change in a therapeutic sense is so profound. But money plays such a huge part in our world. I feel like you're doing the same thing I'm doing, just in a different facet of life. Like seeing that kind of change and having that kind of influence has got to be so rewarding.
Yeah, it is. When people understand that they don't have to be controlled by money, or just not look at money, or feel like they can make some gains, even if it's saving $50 a month or $100 a month, what it might be. Just the hope it brings people is really fun for me, to help them think through what could be, to help them dream, to help them have goals in mind, and to give them practical steps, not to make it so ethereal. Just like a lot of therapeutic counselors know a lot of the therapeutic steps and a lot of the modalities that they have to integrate to that particular person. And it's fun to use all my knowledge and skills to make an individual plan for that person. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's different things for different people. Now, there are some principles that guide me and guide some of the thinking I have. But to make an individual plan for that person and to encourage them on those steps to take is a really powerful thing. It's really fun for me to be able to do that and help others.
Yes. One of the things that I think about as a clinician is kind of the hopelessness that people might be experiencing, the anxiety that just feels like it will never go away, the depression that just feels like it's going to be part of their life forever. What are some of the hopeless kind of situations that people might walk into financial coaching with? Like what are kind of the people that you might want to work with?
Yeah, I think for anybody, I love working with anybody, that feels like there's no hope, or maybe feels lack of knowledge, or even feel dumb. They feel like they're asking dumb questions. For people that like just don't have any financial literacy, if you will, or any thoughts on that, it's fun to be able to take complex things and teach them to people so they feel like they have a plan. So I love working with people who just need some basics on budgeting, or who are just starting off investing, all the way to very complex situations, because there are very complex ones. I think one of the biggest ones for me is people who are deeper in debt, and to help them make a plan on, sometimes debt feels insurmountable. I'll never, like you said, I'm always going to have depression. I'm always going to have this issue. I'm always going to have that type of thing that's just going to be a part of me. A lot of people feel that way with debt. Well, I'll just live with debt till I'm 55, or maybe when I retire, I'll pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to live that way. And so to help people feel like there's hope even within debt, to make a plan on how to get out of that debt and start gaining positive traction in their finances is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Other ways I love helping people learn about investing. Where should I invest my money? Okay, now I've got $100 extra a month. What do I do with it? To help people make a plan on how to invest, what to invest in, what kind of financial vehicle you want to get into, to make that a goal for you, is some of the bigger things. And then I love helping couples. I think the dynamics, we're both left brain logical. The 2 + 2 = 4. That's a big part of our lives. And the right brain, what do I think or desire, or the emotional side of our brains. We're not fully logical nor fully emotional, and particularly with finances. And working with couples, you might have one on that leans each way on the spectrum, and to integrate both halves of that brain and to get two couples on the same page is a big deal to do that. So I really love helping couples think through and make a plan together. It can be a really powerful thing in connecting a partnership, committed relationship, marriage, whatever it might be. It's a powerful thing to be able to do that.
Absolutely. In my mind, and you might think of it differently, but I'm almost seeing like a spectrum to financial coaching, starting off maybe on one end of the spectrum from budgeting, saying, hey, I have, what does the average household have? I think it's like $17,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah, something like that.
Just in general. So to say, how do I create a realistic, sophisticated budget that helps me kind of grow, all the way to including paying off debt, but then maybe all the way on the other side of the spectrum is this idea of, I have this budget, it really works for me, but now I want to help leverage my money and learn how to invest. And so it sounds like you're kind of really excited about working with people all along that kind of spectrum.
Yeah, I think both of those ends of the spectrum, and there's many more in between there amongst there, as there's all different kinds of people, there are so many different types of financial complexities as well. And so it's fun to be able to learn what people want to get into, what they want to do, what new things maybe I haven't even heard of, and people are always looking for the newest, greatest thing, and for me to gain knowledge from them and to be able to help people use the skills I have is really fun.
Sure. Let's kind of dive in that direction for a sec. If you could give us a crash course on budgeting, what do you feel like maybe the top 4 tenets might be, or the best things to implement right away? What would be kind of your tricks up your sleeve?
I think when you're starting with budgeting, just take it easy, take it slow. People have been chaotic in their budgets, or not knowing how much they spend each month for maybe years or decades. And so if you're actually trying to get on a plan, I think number one is don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't feel like you have to have it all together in 30 days or less, that you're a failure if you don't do that. It can take 1 to 6 months as you make small changes on things to be able to even track it. So I think step one is start tracking. Start categorizing. There's apps out there. You can use a Excel spreadsheet. You can use a pen and paper. Whatever works for you, and say, how much do I spend on rent or mortgage, to food each month, to clothing, or start putting it into categories to see how much do I spend. Another step on that would be, how much do I make? How much am I making? Is it a solid number? Am I on a salary job someplace, or does it fluctuate because I'm in a non-salary job each month? And start, taking a look, average that out over 1 to 3 months, something like that, to get a baseline of where you're at. And I can help people look at that and what kind of categories to get into. And step 2 is look at what is your goals. A big part of financial coaching or planning is empowering people. Like, what do you particularly want to do? What's important to you? What might be important to someone else might not be important to that next person. So helping that person understand what their goals would be in budgeting. Is it debt payoff, investing, leaving a legacy, saving for a house, whatever it might be, helping them understand what goal do they want to accomplish within that budget. Those are big steps. And then step 3 might be implementing some of those. Okay, I want to save for a house in the next year. I want to have a certain dollar amount saved by this kind of time period. Okay, how can we carve out an extra $100 a month? What are you willing to maybe cut back on? Or do you need to work a few more hours at your job? See how you can implement those goals. And the 4th step would be empowering those people to keep going on it. And maybe with financial coaching, it's a check-in once a year, twice a year for the next few years, saying how it's going. It takes time with finances. It's not typically an overnight process. So with budgeting, it's taking palatable steps and then checking in and tweaking it. Just like exercise, you don't see immediate gains overnight, saying, I want to lose 20 pounds. You don't do that overnight. Or I want to run a certain mile time. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. It takes work. Just like in finances, that can take time for things.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about this idea that we interact with money in a very emotional way. Just here thinking about like, okay, Isaac, I'm going to, gain 20 pounds of muscle over, it's my goal. I want to look good in that swimsuit or whatever we might tell ourselves. But the fact of the matter is there's a very big emotional adjustment that needs to come into play. I need to get out of bed earlier. I need to be willing. You said this phrase and we use it all the time, but what am I willing to cut back on? Sometimes I don't want to give up the sugar or that third mimosa or the cupcake at the birthday party. And that's a very emotional process for me to cut back on anything, really.
Yeah, sure.
Especially when I feel like spending money, I'll be personal. I work very, very hard. And at the end of the day, it feels so nice to swipe my credit card and pay for a very fancy dinner. Because it's a way of like letting go, relaxing, soothing myself, enjoying pleasure. And I definitely think there's that like emotional tie to my money is almost a way of comforting myself. So I love that you're recommending going slow, because it feels like underneath this financial change, there's this kind of big emotional change. And that seems really important.
Yeah, and I think it is. I think with finances, or if you've ever met with somebody to talk about finances, it can definitely be intimidating, or like, oh no, there goes my fun. There goes my enjoyment. Oh no, Tim's coming to get me, saying, stop it with that Starbucks order, those type of things.
Tim, don't take my Starbucks away.
I have to go for that drink, So that's not the goal of this. The goal is freedom, and the goal is a sense of security and freedom. Saying, hey, listen, I budgeted in $500 a month for eating out. If that's your goal, and go spend it, and don't save that. That's part of your plan. Sure. That don't come back with $100 left on that and try to scrimp and save the last $100 of it. Go enjoy it. It's about enjoyment of life. But if you've got a plan stepping stone on where you want to go, it can bring a lot of freedom. Saying, I can get that third mimosa, I can go for that fancy dinner, I can spend $500 all in one night because I budgeted for it, and I know I'm making this money, I know I have the money for this, and I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy that travel experience. I want to enjoy that extra night of entertainment or night out. So it's about having fun too, but to know that, yeah, I can have fun and not worry about it. I can spend that extra $100 on drinks with friends or whatever, and not have to worry like, oh, is that going to blow up I don't even have a budget, or is it going to blow up my budget? So it's about that freedom to be able to do that. Just like if you've ever done Weight Watchers or something like that, where you track your points, and I've got this amount of points for the day, and I've only had this much. Weight Watchers isn't about not having cupcakes. It's about making sure you have enough points to have that cupcake and not feel bad about it, or not feel guilty about it if you go over your point amount. Same thing with your budget. If you've been overspending by $1,000 each month, and that's how you've gotten into some credit card debt, if the first month you try, you only overspend by $700, that's a step in the right direction. It's not a 0 to 100 type of a thing.
Our financial coaches are available to anyone, anywhere in the world. If you'd like to chat with Tim about your finances, hop on our website at iamcouncil.com. That's iamcouncil.com, or call us at 720-551-8382. We also want to hear from you. We are preparing for a live Q&A episode that will go live during Pride. If you'd like us to answer your questions for you, drop into our DMs. You can find the clinic on Instagram at LGBTQ_therapy, or on TikTok at iAmClinic. That's iAmClinic. Or you can find me on TikTok at Isaac Forte. But for now, let's get back to the show. There are times in counseling sessions where I see people like growing, and I get excited for their hope, and I get like this effervescent, like bubbly feeling in my chest. And I'm getting that now because I feel like, just to hear you say this is about freedom, and here at iAmClinic, I feel like that means authenticity. And it's such a unique, or maybe new way for me to hear the way you're describing budgeting, because I've almost understood it as like sacrifice, cut off parts of who you are, shove yourself into this planned box and stick to it, you know? But this sounds more like I get to be who I want, express myself the way I want, and live the way I want with wisdom, kind of guiding the way I use this really important tool called money. And that sounds exactly like the work we might do around sexuality or gender identity. This is really powerful.
Yeah, I think it is very powerful. It's about what's important to that person. What does that person want to work on, and how do we... It's about empowerment. It's about empowering that person. When you're in a counseling session with somebody, you're in therapy, you're not going home with that person and watching them live their lives for the week. You can't watch them every time, and that's not what we're about here at the clinic, obviously. But people have to make their own choices, and people have to make their own decisions. And with counseling, with therapy, with coaching, it's about empowering people to have a mindset to make those decisions and be intentional with what they're doing. Okay, I'm not going to do this because I want to do this, or I haven't liked this pattern in my life. I'm going to try something else new. You know, I haven't always felt good about myself in this way, and so I'm going to think differently about myself so I can feel better about who I am. Similar with finances. It's, you know, I've always thought I'd be stuck here. I hear a lot of people, I'm stuck, I'm lost, I'll never XYZ, I'll never retire, I'll never get out of debt, I'll never leave a legacy for my children, I'll never get a house, you know, I'll never have fun, you know, I'll always be worried about things. It's about changing that mindset of those nevers and those worries so people can have fun and enjoy things and have like a footing of where they want to go and what they want to be, and help them dream on what could be and where to go with that.
This is I just feel like I love this word freedom for what we're talking about today, because it just seems like such a major liberation to walk away from a very therapeutic lens, but to walk away from those unwanted patterns so that we can engage the life we really want. And in that sense, this budgeting kind of sounds fun and liberating, as opposed to sacrificing and dry like toast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or just Excel spreadsheets and pluses and minuses and
boring nights at home. Because
I have to make dinner again. I want to eat out so bad.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not.
Sure.
It's not about just cutting back and boringness or any of the accounting or, all the left brain people say, yeah, that's great. That sounds like so much fun. But the people who dream about what could be are just,
for sure.
It's like when me and my wife, when I go to Costco or a grocery store, I get what's on the list. This is what our family needs. Can we, get that next month? Yeah, we can get next month. So I'm just trying to be as basic as possible when I'm grocery shopping, because I want to get out of there. Whereas my wife will also go with the list and then go over here and go over there and dream and, our family could use this, or this would really be really helpful for us, and come back with 30 items when the list was 6 type of thing. And so it's fun, but we know we have a plan. I mean, it has been frustrating at times, and it can be if we don't talk about it beforehand, but it really is a freedom, and I've learned to look at it differently, where it can bring freedom and joy to my family, and thinking about things a different way can be beneficial instead of just the kind of boring things that need to get done. When you get something above and beyond, it can go a long way if you're both on the same page with that, and if you have that mindset that things can be different and can be better.
Yeah. In a sense, I'm thinking of like one of the unwanted patterns in my life. Bear with me here, I'm going somewhere.
Sure, you're good.
But it was like in college, I drank way too much, and but when I'm drinking, I get to be authentic, I get to be free. And because I was closeted, it was, when I'm drinking, this is the only time I get to feel joy, because I'm hiding myself in every other arena. When I started paying attention to my drinking and limiting how much I drank, I realized that when I woke up in the morning, I didn't have regrets, I didn't feel awkward, I didn't have a hangover, and I enjoyed both the evening of fun and the morning of rejuvenation and hiking and yoga, or I love meditation. And I kind of want to just use the story to say what you're describing here, as we are wise with our money and use a plan, this budget, we begin to notice that putting ourselves into a wise system of money actually helps produce relief. And that relief feels more like joy. So if I'm to parallel my story here, if I'm spending $200 on Starbucks and I limit that to $50, that extra $150 might go to a yoga class or a gym membership, or to watch it accumulate in savings. And as we watch the benefit of the withholding, the growing or the budgeting, it actually becomes something we want to engage in more because we see the benefits of it. And so I think that that's really kind of, I just want to throw that out there. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but it just kind of strikes me that when we shift those unwanted patterns, we see the healthy, beneficial effects, and then it makes us want to engage the healthy patterns more.
Yeah, I've seen that with clients over the years, and when the hopelessness people feel, and then getting on a plan is kind of tough, but then when you start implementing that plan and start to see some of those gains, yeah, it can lead to a lot more joy and a lot more fun. I've got a poster in my bedroom that my wife drew for me. It says, "Live with fun in mind." And so I try to live my life like that, of not just having the basic dry toast, if you will, existence, but how do you live with fun in mind? I'm doing this because it's going to lead to something else. Or I love hiking, and so I recently got up. There's this hike I've been wanting to do for a while. So I got up at 5:30 and got my headlight on, and hike the first hour, hour and a half in the darkness by myself to get up. And I ended up being 13 miles, but went to these 3 mountain lakes and in the ice and snow. But I was the only person there. And I was the only, not a single other person there. And it was just so beautiful to see the snow, to see the mountains, to see the sunrise coming up. And it was such a spiritual and a really enlivening experience. And it was a lot of fun for me. But I had to sacrifice and get up at 5 o'clock, pack my stuff, get out below freezing, and get going in the dark by myself. So I had to sacrifice some in order to get to that beauty, to get to that mountaintop experience, to get to those lakes and have that good experience. So there is some sacrifice along the way, or there is some reworking of your mindset, but what's it worth? And just to help people think of the joy and the freedom it can bring is a powerful thing and totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If there were someone kind of listening in, kind of just getting started or really shifting focus to pay attention to this area of life, what might be some things to help get them started? What would you recommend?
Yeah, I would think number one is start dreaming. I think if you're looking at evaluating your finances for the first time or reevaluating your finances for the 50th time, what's important to you? Mm-hmm. What hopes and dreams and joys do you have? Write some of those down. I want to be X, Y, Z. I want to start doing this, or I want to start doing that. I think number one is start by dreaming. Start by thinking what could be, or where do I want to see myself in 1, 5, 10, 50 years from now. And then start from there. Start writing some things down. Start maybe taking a look, go through last month's credit card statement. Take a look at your monthly rent or mortgage. Do some of that left brain 2 + 2 = 4, because that is a part of finances. Things have to add up. There's no alternate universe where 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. And so start looking at where is your money going? Where's your inflows and where are your outflows going on that, going from there. So let your dreams and your 2 + 2 = 4 side of your life, take those two pieces together, start with that, and then work with somebody as a coach to implement where do you go from there. So having those two pieces would be a good starting point before coming in for some coaching or before a session there would be extremely helpful to take the next step and to think through further. Absolutely.
Are there any apps that you think would help, like organize people's finances or give them some of this insight you're recommending?
Yeah, there's an app we use to track. It's called Mint. Mint's a good one that will kind of organize your finances in different categories. You can set how much you want to spend in each month, and it'll say, hey, you've still got this much money to spend this month. Or you can look at it halfway through. Mint's one of the better ones out there. Some people just like do an Excel spreadsheet. There's a lot of formulas people can use on that. So for digital, I would recommend Mint. There's new ones coming out every day as well that can be helpful. Yeah. But, sometimes even just some good old pen and paper to help think through is helpful for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember there was this one season in life where I was working a ton and I just couldn't figure out where my money was going. Like, it was evaporating, and I was like, what is happening? And I could not solve the problem. So I printed out, I think it was 4 months worth of bank statements, and I went one line at a time, and I categorized everything, and I realized that I was spending a ton on eating out. I was shocked at how much money I was spending there. And it was fascinating to just make one grocery store trip, prep some meals, and how much money I made. But I do like this idea of kind of being slow with yourself, but also slowing down and taking a look and kind of investigating, where is my money going? What do my bank statements or my credit card statements look like?
Yeah, I think it's surprising to most people, I spend a lot on this, and you actually don't. Or there's no way I spend that much on clothing in 3 months. Oh, you actually might.
Yeah.
I've always wanted, go go out. We don't go to movies too much anymore, but, I thought I spent a lot more on entertainment. I guess I'm not doing that. I guess maybe I'm not having as much fun in that way as I used to. Mm-hmm. That's good for me to learn. So I think taking a look, and it'll open some eyes if you go back over the last 3 months and think through where you've been. And once again, eating out is not bad. Buying new clothes is not bad. They can all be helpful things. It's just a matter of how much do you want to do on that, and what's your goal with that. Mm-hmm. New clothes can help you feel better, can help your confidence, can it be a fun experience, can be connective if you go with other people. Mm-hmm. Those are not bad things. It's just a matter of to what extent or how much. Just like eating is not a bad thing, but having 4 donuts a day might not lead to positive outcomes later on in life, when you're gaining however many pounds in the years to come. So,
well, it kind of sounds like what you're saying is it all accumulates.
It does.
Either spending and watching it accumulate and leave your bank account, or creating a budget and watching that accumulate to kind of go out there and accomplish your dreams.
Yeah, it is. It's I enjoy playing soccer, and one of my teams, we had a model that we called it Little Big. And so if you've ever watched a soccer match, football match, depending on where you're from, you want to see the amazing goal. You want to see Lionel Messi or Ronaldo move this amazing kick and curve in the back of the corner of the net. But how do they get there? Mm-hmm. It's a lot of little passes. Have you ever seen a professional team play? It's a lot of little back and forth. Little things. So we do a little change here, just like in soccer, a little pass here, a little pass there. Then there's the amazing goal or amazing header. That looks really awesome, but you got to look back on how they got there. You got to look back on what led up to that. You want to say, hey, I got out of debt in 3 years. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. Okay, but that's the big goal, but how did you get there? Well, I started tracking, I started dreaming, and I started making little changes. And little changes leads to big things. Mm-hmm.
For many of us, financial planning is like that one phone call we don't want to make. You know the kind. You tell yourself you're going to call someone for weeks, and as time lapses, you don't call because now you're embarrassed. The longer you resist making the call, the more looming the embarrassment becomes. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to pick up the phone, eat crow, and apologize. We all know that it feels so good once the call is done. All is better in the world. You know what I mean. In the same way, ripping off the Band-Aid when it comes to financial coaching can be liberating. I really resonated with Tim in his approach to building financial awareness, setting realistic goals, prioritizing your financial plans, and communicating with a partner or partners if you need to make a joint plan. He brings an easy, dare I say, shameless way of going about financial planning, which is super relieving. Many of us might feel incredibly shameful around our financial situations. Whether you make $1 in your lifetime or $1 billion, I hope Tim's words brought you peace and inspired you to make changes that will lead not only to your freedom, but to the starting line of a new financial life. Take care of yourself by taking care of your finances. Until next week, mwah!
Queer RelationTips is a podcast sponsored by iAmClinic, a counseling practice devoted to the LGBTQ+ community with in-person and virtual counseling options available. iAmClinic. Create the love lives and relationships you crave. Find us online on Instagram at LGBTQ_therapy and Facebook at iAmClinic. That's iAmClinic.